Hey again. Tonight we're going to be making another one of my favourite Italian dishes. This is a creation of my own, Ratatouille Cannelloni with roast eggplant and zucchini. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to have an oven preheated to 180 degrees, and you want to chuck your eggplant and your courgette into the oven in some oiled trays with some garlic to start roasting. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is we've got some herbs here. So we've got some onion, some cinnamon bark, a bay leaf, 9 peppercorns, 4 cardamom pods and 2 cloves of garlic. First thing that we're going to want to do is just crush your garlic like so, and same with your cardamom pods, just give them a neat little squish with the back of a spoon. Right, now the onion, this is a quarter of an onion just roughly cut into quarters, and we've got a litre of milk at the back of the stove just on a very low heat, and we're just going to put the onion, bay leaf, cardamom pods, garlic, peppercorns and cinnamon bark into the milk. And what we're doing here, we're going to be making a white sauce, and this will just give extra flavour to the white sauce. Okay, so while that's gently heating and infusing the flavours on the back of the stove, the next thing we're going to want to do is to prepare our tomato. So we've got another pan on here with about 2 or 3 tablespoons of some extra virgin olive oil, and we're going to want to chuck the rest of the onion that's been nicely diced in here. Like so. And we're going to turn this up a little bit. We're going to give this a quick fry. Now, when I am not sofritoing my onion and garlic, I like to chuck the onion in first and get it cooking, and then chuck the garlic in a little bit of time. That way you don't end up with crispy brown bits of garlic before the onions had time to sweat and cook a little bit. So the moment you can see the onion just starting to go clear, that's a good time to chuck your garlic in. Now with the cannelloni, there are always going to be 3 parts to it. So you've got the passata, the tomato base on which the cannelloni sits, and then your white sauce and cheeses on top. I find that these it's just such a beautiful contrast of colours and textures and flavours. The tomatoey base and the smooth, velvety, creamy top. As I said, next to risotto and lasagna, this is my next favourite Italian dish. So, the moment you get those just gently starting to colour, now is the time to add a couple of tins of chopped tomatoes. Now, you don't need to have a fancy passata. In fact, the simpler the better. The flavours that you really want to come through in your passata You want your tomato and you want your basil to really be the two main flavours coming in, of course, along with your garlic and onion. So right, get that together. Once that's all combined, you can chuck your basil in next. Right, that is just about done. In my rush to get this done, I almost forgot one of the most important ingredients for our passata, which is a tub of tomato paste. So I have added that and stirred that through. We've got this coming to a nice simmer and slowly reducing and getting thicker now. So it's time to make the white sauce. We want to add to a pan about 4.5 tablespoons worth of butter. And get that melting. Now, while that's melting, we're going to season our passata. So, a little bit of salt, roughly about half a teaspoon, maybe a fraction more, always hand to pan so you can easily judge. Get that going through, make sure your butter's nicely melting. A little bit of white pepper just to season that, and of course give it a taste. Perfect. You want it to have to keep the bite of the tomato. It will neatly contrast the other flavours we're adding to this. So with your butter just about melted, we're going to go ahead and add 5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to this, and you may have seen me do this previously. We're just going to make a standard white sauce out of this. So the first thing you want to do is completely combine the butter and flour in the pan. Now I find some people use a whisk. I find that a standard spoon is the best thing because you can really get this well combined, nice smooth texture. Right, now once you get it to this stage, you're going to just want to gently fry the butter and flour mixture a little bit to let the flour cook. So while this is going on, come back over here, give your passata a little stir, make sure nothing's sticking. Oh, that looks so good. And you also want to come and just have a quick check on your roasting vegetables. Yep, they're softening up nicely. Now the courgette and eggplant don't take too long to cook. You just want to cook them through. We're going to be adding them as the stuffing for our cannelloni, so they are going to get further cooking, but you want to get the rich roasting flavours going through. So you want to caramelise the bottoms of them a little bit, and you want them to be soft and ready to go for when it comes to piping them into the cannelloni. Right, now that we've had the flour and butter on and cooking for a little bit, we want to add some of the milk liquid to it. So using a sieve, put a little bit of the mixture in, turn that to the heat and drop the heat on this right down. And you want to combine your milk, flour and butter fully. Now I do this just using the back of the spoon. You mash it against the side of the pot, and this is how you get all your lumps out of it and ensure a nice smooth consistency. Alright, once that starts to thicken, you want to add a little more. Oop, kicked out. Keep the oven going. Alright, now that it's starting to get to a smooth and more liquidy consistency, now is the time to season it. So, yet again, you want about half a teaspoon of salt, a little bit of white pepper, mix that through. Thoroughly. Get any lumps that you can see out, like so. And add your remaining milk liquid to this. Alright, I'm going to finish stirring this through and we'll come back to you with the next stage. Forgetting little bits. So now that the white sauce is practically done, and you want to check the texture of it, so you want it to be quite thick, sort of like that, so it actually keeps its shape, because this is going to go on top of your cannelloni obviously. So I've added just a little bit extra milk to this to thin it down to the consistency that I wanted, and just before the end you want to get yourself a little bit of nutmeg in a mini grater and just grate a little bit of fresh nutmeg over the top. Now you can use powdered nutmeg here if you don't have fresh. Just want to add a pinch. I'm guessing about 1/8 of a teaspoon to it. Just gives it a little bit extra punch. Alright. With that, the white sauce, oh my god, that nutmeg just makes it smell divine. With that, the white sauce is done. The passata is nicely reduced and just about ready. We're just waiting on the last of the roasting to be done, and we'll be moving on to the next stage. So with these pots, you can put lids on them and put them at the back of the stove to keep them ready for the later stages. Coming back to you soon. Now that you've got all of your roasted ingredients out of the roasting dish and just roughly chopped up into a bowl, large bowl such as this, you're going to want to first let it cool, or otherwise you're going to cook your egg as soon as you put it in. You're going to want to add to this a decent handful of pine nuts and a large bunch of coriander or other herb. If you don't like coriander, you can use basil. You're going to want to just add this in, get all of this delicious coriander out. You're also going to want to add a couple of blocks of feta to this. Now, I've chosen to go for 2 blocks here. You could get away with 1, but when is 1 ever enough? Chuck both of those in. Now, I've just cubed these up You don't need to, they will break and crumble as you go, but this just makes your job a lot easier. Give this a very quick preliminary mix around, like so, and then you're going to want to add 1 egg. One egg to this. Sorry, having some technical difficulties with the egg under the fingernail right there. And thoroughly mix this all together now. Whistle while you work. Now you want to get this all nicely together, and you don't need it mashed, but you kind of want it to be at least to a sort of level that you can pipe into cannelloni, so make sure there are no large chunks of anything in there. But it is nice when you're eating your cannelloni tube to get the odd big bit of feta somewhere, a little surprise. Or, as we've roasted these, a nice crunchy bit of garlic somewhere in it. Right, and this is pretty good to go. Yep, that's looking about right. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare for the next stage, and we'll be back to you for the piping of the cannelloni. Now we're up to the fun stage of the cannelloni, which is piping the mixture into the cannelloni. So first off, in your oven dish, put the passata out on the bottom. It doesn't have to go all the way to the edges. This is just a bed for your cannelloni to rest in. Now, I've just used a sandwich bag and cut the bottom corner off, and you sort of half fill this, quarter fill this with your mixture. You don't need to seal it, just grab it around here, get your cannelloni tube and squeeze it through like you're filling up brandy snap until it starts coming out both ends. You do it over your bowl, so if you miss any it just drops in. And that is 1 full cannelloni. And you just come over and rest that in your dish. Now I'm going to do 2 rows going this way, and another row one row going this way and another row going this way, with about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch gap in between them. So I'm just going to I'll show you one more, and we'll carry on. So just quietly squeeze that till you see it coming out the other end, and finished off, and that is another filled cannelloni. Now, there you go. There you can see how it's going to start, and we're just going to carry on until we're out. So this is 1 pack. I believe there's about 24 or 25 tubes in a pack. So we're going to go with this. Okay, see you when we finish that. Right, now that we've got the fun bit out of the way, there happened to be 25 tubes of cannelloni, and it's just so happened that I had exactly enough material for exactly 25 tubes, so how about that? Now, to finish this, we take our pre-prepared white sauce and simply make sure that we cover all of our cannelloni tubes in this deliciousness, including that little extra one that I had to put on the side. This is actually thickened up absolutely perfectly while it was sitting on the stove. I was worried it was going to be a little bit runny, and now it's going to be perfect. So from the start I called this Ratatouille Cannelloni. So we have all of your traditional ratatouille flavours in this. We have the eggplant, the courgette and the tomato to give it the distinctive ratatouille flavour and the name that I've given to it. That's an interesting take. You know, everybody loves spinach and ricotta, but they kind of get done a lot. I like to mix things up from time to time. There's so many other delicious Italian flavours out there. There we go. Just about got that. That'll do for now. Remember, during lockdown, waste not, want not. Now, make sure that this is make sure that your cannelloni is now completely evenly covered, including give some love to those ones at the end there, and that little one off to the side. Don't worry if it goes over the edges a little bit, that's absolutely fine. And that one as well. Righto. Doesn't have to be perfect, because once you chuck it in the oven it will tend to even itself out anyway and sort of slough over the sides a little bit. Not of the pan, but of the cannelloni. Alright, that's close enough for me. Now, to finish this off, if you can afford it, and if you have any at hand, I recommend going for mozzarella balls, and you just slice them and lay them across. I've tried it once before and it is divine, but they are expensive and hard to come by. So, grated mozzarella is every bit perfect. And we want to liberally cover this with mozzarella. The Italians have a way with food of covering everything in delicious flavours, which is hence why they are one of my go-tos for cooking. Right, that is just about perfect. Yeah. Doesn't have to be completely covered, but I like to make sure that there are no obvious bits left. Right, now with that done, we want to get some flavourful cheese, a little bit of parmesan, and we will just go over and give a good shaving over the top of the mozzarella. Like so. It's looking done. Get all that off, and a little bit of cracked pepper and salt that I prepared earlier for the roasting, just to season the top. Perfect. Now, once this is done, your oven, which is still on and hot from before, you want to chuck this in for about 20 minutes until the cheese is all melted and the cannelloni is nicely cooked through. You'll be able to tell when it's done by when the cheese is melted and turning slightly golden brown and bubbling, and then it'll be ready to take out. I'll come back to you and show you what it looks like plated up. So less than 20 minutes later, and you can see that the cheese on top is absolutely perfect, bubbling and golden brown. Now, not much you need to do to finish these. I'm just going to do my usual of putting a little bit of a basil leaf on them. Now, just to show you how delicious these are, when we cut into them, get the cheese over, there you can see the lovely cannelloni tubes, fully cooked and oozing with lovely ratatouille goodness. Okay, now this, what we've made up, going on meals of 3 cannelloni tubes apiece, will make 8 servings. 8 delicious filling servings from home.